Hello everyone, this is Pal Ponder on Weather coming at you with another video. In today's update, we're going to be talking about the overall pattern for the next 2 weeks to kind of give you a general idea how these next 2 weeks will play out. So before I do get started, if you do like weather related content, please subscribe to my channel as I will upload about 5 videos a week to keep you updated. All right, so let's get started. So here, let's start off with the overall teleconnections of the NAO, which is the North Atlantic Oscillation, as well as the AO, the Arctic Oscillation. And you can see basically this is a chart from February 1st all the way through, the third week, about February 21. We've done a week. It's been fairly neutral to positive. It does dip a little bit neutral right now. That's why we're seeing a tad bit of the colder push into the Northeast. But next week, all the cold air goes back up in the Arctic. The polar vortex has been essentially like a donut, and it hasn't been able to release any, Arctic air down into the United States. And that's been predominantly the pattern, and it kind of remains that way for the next 2 weeks. As you can see, both teleconnections remain well positive for the next 2 weeks. Now, there are going to be some signs where it is going to dip. So, the Eastern Pacific Oscillation, which is the EPO, and then you have the PNA. So you can see right now, we took a dip right around right now. This is the 7th, and we're seeing that little bit of a colder push into the Northeast, and that's where they're getting some of those elevated snowfall rates right now. And it kind of remains negative for the next week, about week. But at the same time, the PNA is also negative. And as you can see, this is predominantly lower than the EPO. And the EPO actually turns positive back, towards the middle of the month. And the PNA remains negative. So that basically implies the cold push will predominantly be from the Northwest. So let's take you through this. So why has it been that way? Well, basically, a lot of it drives from the MJO, the Madden-Julie Oscillation. It's been primarily, prominently in a lot of the warmer phases, especially in January. You can see the closer it is out to this line right here, it's more amplified. I mean, it's a lot stronger, and the further in, it's more neutral. It's not as strong, right? And so right now, it's pretty much kind of in a neutral phase, but here's the latest Euro forecast between now and basically February 17th. And you can see we have subtle pushes in some of these colder phases, but it's neutral. It's basically neutral. And then we flip back into some of these warmer phases, 4, 5, and 6. And you can see the chart of where this predominantly the warmer air plays out. Here's 4, here's 5, here's 6. So we're predominantly in these phases where the cold push comes from the Northwest. Now, why is that? So if we take a look at the overall water temperatures, out for globally out in the ocean, you can see this little kind of red dot. This is basically east of the date line, and this has been flaring up really since December. I mean, every time it flares up, it keeps pushing the MJO back into some of these warmer phases. Especially now, the waters have really cooled off Alaska. They've really cooled off of California. We saw the turn in the SOI index in December. We talked about the amplified flow of the Pacific jet, and it's been pretty strong and really evident now where we're getting these extreme rainfalls in the Southeast, and that continues for the next 2 weeks. This water temperatures remain and keeps pushing the MJO in some of these warmer phases into 4, 5, and 6. This right here has really died down. It's not nearly as amplified as it was. So as you get these across, you got Alaska cold, but it predominantly brings these troughs into the western U.S. and digs down into Texas and then lifts up. If this water was closer in, more amplified, and this was pushed back, it would bring the colder air down from the Arctic and then push over. But we're not seeing that. Okay? So what we're actually seeing, here's some of the height anomalies. All right? So this puts you on Saturday, and this is where, right now you saw the little dip in the EPO, right? here's the trough coming up the East Coast. We've got some of the snow that's happening right now in New England. Will continue into Friday and feed off into Saturday. This is what it looks like as far as the anomalies and how that looks. And so it brought some of that colder air into Texas. Some in the southeast where they're getting some snowflakes into Tennessee and Kentucky right now, and that'll swing up. Okay, and then by the 12th, we've got yet another trough digging into the south central part of the U.S. We got the ridge building up top, so it's almost like deja vu again, right? The ridge builds again, and this is Tuesday. So this is up in the higher elevations. This is the height anomalies of where you're seeing this, and so this is down at the surface now as far as the temperature and what that actually looks like. So that's going to bring another trough into Texas, dump a lot more rain into Texas Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and this amplified southeast ridge stays amplified, and this will swing across. Let's swing it off to Friday. This is Valentine's Day. Okay, so that swings through and it kind of reloads again for Valentine's Day, putting much of the cooler air into the northwest, into the central part of the United States, and the ridge stands strong in the southeast. Let's take a look at the temperatures and how that looks like. On Valentine's Day, pretty much the central part of the U.S. is going to be below normal temperatures, and the ridge stays strong in the southeast and the east. Let's take a look at the 16th and how that looks. Again, another trough digging into the south central United States. You see how we get locked up in these patterns and they still continue doing the same thing over and over again? It's going to be rain again to the southeast, another trough into the south central U.S., bringing more rain eventually into Texas again, like we've seen this movie play out before. And what does that look like as far as temperatures? Again, the cold pushes in from the northwest and pushes down into Colorado. They're going to be getting a lot more snow. They have been getting snow. They're going to be a lot more snow coming up for the next 2 weeks. And this will eventually, like I said, this will build south and swing up. And you can take a look at the height anomalies for the 18th, kind of showing the same thing. Another trough digging into the central part of the United States. The ridge is strong in the east, the southeast and the east. And by the 18th, as far as the temperature goes, what that looks at the surface, kind of the same thing. another trough digging into the south central, bringing more rain into Texas, swinging up through the Ohio Valley, leaving the southeast and the east pretty much on the rainy side and the warmer side. Now, here's the 21st. This is 2 weeks from now. And you can see by that time, remember, the EPO goes positive. It lifts the jet even further into the Arctic, releasing, keeping the cold air well south, and I mean, keeping the cold air well north, and not getting any, Arctic intrusions down into the United States. So, and you can see that at the surface, basically by 2 weeks from now, the AO is positive, the NAO is positive, the EPO is positive, and so that ridge builds, and that kind of locks in. So let's take a look at the overall precipitation and how that looks. And you can see that the southeast ridge, all these relentless storms that have come in from the northwest, digs down, picks up the water vapor, the elevated Pacific jet, and dumps a lot of rain into the southeast. It basically starts in Texas and really amplifies once it gets into the southeast. And we're going to be probably seeing more storms and more severe weather for the next 2 weeks for this part of the country. And as this swings up the East Coast, we'll just have to see, how much cold air is actually able to intrude into that, and how much of this rain is able to transpire into snow. Because if we look at the actual snow totals, and this is, over 2 weeks, and obviously this will change, but it kind of gives you a general idea on where this pattern comes from. It essentially comes from the northwest, digs down into Texas, and it will lift up through the Ohio Valley and then be dumping, snow. A lot of this is picking up from the Friday, what's happening now from the Friday and the Saturday event that will be happening this weekend for the Northeast. So that'll kind of give you a general idea of how this next 2 weeks is going to play out. So be sure to like this video and definitely share with your friends on social media and leave your comments below. And please subscribe to my channel and catch me in the next video where I protect you before and after the storm.